Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Wind Down with Yana. I am your host, and tonight we are grieving living ghost. If you don't know what that means, that is when the person doesn't die, but the relationship does. Now, before we get into this, let's go ahead and get started with tonight's featured wine. I have a rosé from France. Isn't she a beauty? And this one is 12%. Let's see. Oh, snap. Checking me twisting that top that easy. Y'all know I be struggling with them twist caps a lot of the time. I hope that you can hear me well. I did a couple test runs. I got new mics, and it looks like my mic is trying to run away. But I did get new mics because, uh-oh, uh-oh. There I go. That's what I get for touching it. I know that's going to be annoying. Well, I'm back. I'm just forever going to, accept the fact that I'm going to have some sort of technical difficulty. It is what it is. Um, let's go ahead, give it a little swirl. I actually feel a little, I don't know the word I want to look for right now, but this is my first episode in quite some time solo. I've had guests the past couple episodes, and it has been a lot of fun. But getting back, to that is good. That is really good. Let's see. Fruity fresh rosé with its delicate aromas of raspberry and grenadine. And it pairs well with grilled vegetables, pizzas, and grills. So I'm assuming anything off the grill would go well with this. It's actually really good. I'm not sure what type of pizza I would pair that with, but I'm definitely open to trying it with pizza because my son does love pizza. If he could eat it every day, he would. Now, for those of you who understand what grieving people who are still alive um, means, it's not just romantic, but platonic and even familial relationships. Um, these are the people that we've loved and at some point had to make a decision to not continue having a relationship with them. Sometimes we lose these people to pride, distance, silence, egos, because every last one of us has one of those that we sometimes let take control of. But it doesn't mean that the hurt isn't as real. Um, for a romantic person, that person that you thought you were going to be forever with and no longer with them. Platonic, that friend that you thought was going to go the long haul, and before you knew it, they were no longer a part of your circle. And familial, they're there by blood, but they couldn't fully see you, so you had to part ways. These are the people that are still breathing, still living, and sometimes just see them as you're scrolling on Facebook, Instagram, things like that. And you may shed a tear or two, when you see them. We've all, in some way, have had that encounter. Sometimes it's not about what they did, but what they said or what they didn't say sometimes. The flashbacks, oh my gosh, they don't ask permission to show up. And emotional flashbacks hit you without even asking, for permission. It could have been a random song, a sense, certain memories can take us back to that time with that person. I know I have moments where I have, certain friends um, that it's like, dang, they were there for this, they were there for that, and now they're not there. And it's just like, man, if they were here for this, they would have definitely been like, man. And grief loops. And that's how, if you're still stuck in that trauma or not, based on how you handle when that grief hits. Um, I know I was in a romantic situation, and when it ended, I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew it was happening, I knew it was coming. So this wasn't one of those where it was just like I was distraught. I was more angry than anything, but I was still dealing with, the grief of feeling like, was I enough? Was I not enough? And it wasn't until I was able to not remember all of the context of the situation that ended the situation that I knew, okay, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to say healed, because I don't think anybody ever completely heals from trauma, but I was able to not be as affected in my day to day by it. So you never, I guess, get over grief. Like I tell people all the time, it's easier to grieve someone that's no longer here than it is to grieve, people that are still alive. And it's hard. It's so hard. Trust me, I go through it regularly. I had to let go. I'm not going to say let go, because I hate how that sounds. I had to distance myself from a family member. And some stuff I try to not give too much context, because I know in my healing journey, at one point I was one of those people where, that saying, hurt people hurt people. Yes, I've been guilty of that, where it's like, oh, well, you hurt me. I don't want to be that person anymore, because I know how it feels to be on the receiving end of it. So I don't want to be that person where it's like, oh, well, you hurt me, so now I want to hurt you. And now I'm at the point in my healing journey where it's like, no, I don't want to put too much context. And then, it's like, no, you know what you did, you know, all the things. So I'm not even gonna try and be a certain way. Yeah. But even with that particular situation, this person was as close as a person can get, and they just couldn't. They did. I don't know if they couldn't, they didn't want to, what it was. Maybe the guilt was just too much, but they didn't want to talk to resolve things. They didn't want to acknowledge their hurt in the situation. And because of that, it was hard for me to continue moving on, sharing happy moments, things like that, when to an extent it felt like they didn't deserve to have that space in my space. So it was hard. It was really hard for me. And now I'm just at the point where it's like I don't wish them any ill will. I hope that they have the best of everything that their heart desires, things of that nature, but just not meant to be in my life. Um, and then every now and then, it's like I thought I blocked the person, but every now and then that person pops up in my likes on a video, things like that. And I'm just like, how do I block you? I keep blocking you and you still keep popping up. Like, what the hell? So, does that block button really work? Um, and then every now and then I get random texts. where it's like, oh, hi, I'm thinking about you, I miss you. And it's just like, what am I supposed to say? Like, good for you? I mean, I know that sounds a little bit mean because I would feel like that's messed up if you said that to me, but it's not to be rude, but it's like, well, what do I say? Like, I've forgiven and I've moved on. So that's just like, it is very noisy out here today. I have no clue what is going on. Um, but it's like once you go through that betrayal, it's hard to move back because sometimes that's like, and I'm one of those people, I give a million chances because I believe that people are just people, you know, it's like everybody's going to hurt you at some point. And depending on how close you are to me, I sometimes let a lot more go than the average would. So you've had chances and you still didn't do it, but it's definitely one of those where it's heartbreaking once you finally make that decision to let that person go. And I feel like when it's a family member and people are constantly going, oh, well, that's your this, that's your that, and you're not talking to them anymore. One thing people don't get is that if somebody let go of a brother, a sister, you know, their mom, their dad, even a child sometimes, it wasn't an easy, you know, thing like an overnight. I'm just not, you know, dealing with that person anymore. They really put a lot of thought into how those people made them feel because, again, that's their family. That is somebody that they've known their entire life. So when it's kind of like, I get what you're saying when you say, oh, well, you've got to let that go, things of that nature. However, I thought about every aspect of the relationship. And if I've come to this ultimate decision to not have this person be in my life anymore, it wasn't something that was taken lightly. And people should start respecting that because the disrespect was there and the apology and the change behavior should be as loud as the disrespect. So if there's none of that, what more do you have? Am I supposed to just keep sitting there taking it? I was talking to a friend about um, a situation, and I was saying that I was telling another friend, like, yeah, this person did X, Y, and Z to me. And they're like, oh, they've never treated me like that. I can't believe they would do that. Well, what happened? And then you tell them, it's like, oh man, they never did that. And it's like, okay, I get they probably never treated you like that, but are you're really okay with how they treated me? And it wasn't until I was in a situation, you know, like I felt the same way that that friend felt at one point before. And it wasn't until I was in the situation myself where it's just like, okay, I kind of get it, that it kind of humbled me because it was just like, damn, like, and then some people, they don't see it because they are like those people as well. So they're not looking at it from an aspect of, damn, that's messed up. Why would they treat you like that? But is something fly in my glass? It's really hard for me. And because I'm an empath, I hold on to things so closely. And I try not to, but I do. My feelings get hurt and I just kind of got to, you know, suck it up. But if any of you have been through something like this, you know, go ahead in the comments and let me know when you were in a situation where you knew a relationship has flatlined. Um, we grieve in waves, and sometimes the wave hits you at 2 a.m. Let me tell you about them 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning emotional roller coasters I've been through. I want to say they hit me, and I'm just like, there's nothing I can do but ride this wave. I just literally, in the last 4 or 5 months, had my first night where I slept through the entire night. And it's been a while since I've had a night where I just slept through the night. And my alarm woke me up. I didn't wake myself up. I was looking around and I'm just like, in 4 to 5 months, I've had my first night where I slept through the entire night. And I'm thankful for that because I have not been sleeping. I feel like I've just been taking naps. Like my life has just been on this loop of I take a nap, wake up, take a nap, wake up, take a nap. And then I'm up doing, the day to day things. And then I take me another nap. It's just been, if I could take my brain out my head so I can sleep, oh, that would be amazing. And then I dream. I have such vivid dreams that are they're almost scary because dreams mean things. Not all dreams, but a lot of dreams have meaning to them. So when you're going through things, it's definitely trying to tell you something. And when I have those dreams, it's just like, oh my gosh. So I try to either write them down or I text myself what the dream was so I actually can take the time, go through all of the decoding process, things like that. But I dream so vivid that it's scary. um in the 5 stages of grief that will hit you, denial. And they don't hit you in any particular order, but you have to go through all the stages of grief to get over things. um First one is denial, and this in no particular order, this is just the order that I have them in: anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. When I tell you the depression is louder than any of the other stages of grief, it's, yeah. And then I think when it comes to the anger, you're just like, why don't you care? Why don't you this? Why didn't that? If you did, why didn't this happen? And sometimes that anger is louder than what you can control. The denial of, no, this can't really be. Oh my gosh, did this really happen? Maybe I was just making it up. Maybe I'm this. And when you're going through a healing journey and you're going through grief, you question so much, you doubt a lot as well. I know for myself, you're just like, not you. I'm just one of those, that goes through it, and I'm just like, I don't deserve to be treated how I've been treated. And sometimes my anger has gotten the best of me. Yes, I'm not perfect. I am still a human, even though I am still healing. However, I am learning to become more accepting of my emotions, the other person that has done something to me as well. So, and it's a process. It is a long process. It's a hard process. It's a deep process because I care. I care so much. And sometimes I hate hearing, like I've told my therapist, I hate hearing. I hate it because if I didn't, I wouldn't be so hurt. Like, and other people are just moving on with their lives because the hurt doesn't affect them the way that it affects you. So, but it's just like, you're not hurt, but I'm sitting here hurt, and they've moved on with their life, doing whatever it is that they're doing. Like, it's what they weren't affected. And yeah, sometimes I just don't want to be an empath because of that. But apparently, that's my superpower. Yeah. So I just roll with it. Um, there's also something very unique about healing and grieving someone that doesn't admit their own part of the pain that was caused. And one thing I'm learning is not everybody that doesn't say something about what they've done to you doesn't mean that they're not grieving in their own way. We all grieve different. We all feel different. We're all going through different things. And that was something I had to learn to accept. We're all fighting battles, silently, and some are out loud that people don't understand. So it affects them different. And I had to learn to embrace that, I guess you can say, when it came to people that have wronged me and forgiving them silently as well, because sometimes I don't even want to go down that path, because I've been in situations where people have made excuses for the things that they've done to me, and it sucks majorly, because you're just like, well, damn, do you really not care? Like, did I not mean anything to you? And you keep going. And I think the hardest part is knowing you can love someone and still let them go, and you can grieve and still grow. It is hard, but you can do it, and it takes time. It does take time, trust me. I'm a walking testimony of that. My therapist always tells me, you don't need closure, you need clarity. And learn who you are without that person, because when you become close to somebody, you start to adapt their ways as well. Like I said, whether it's a family member, platonic or romantic, you do adapt to the people that are around you. You start to mimic their little day to day, mannerisms without even realizing you're doing it, because you're around them so much. And I'm not gonna say I fought her, but I was very, adamant on, I need closure. I like closure. And she kept saying, no, you need clarity. Clarity is hard for me, because I can see my part, I can see your part, and I can see where the disconnect was a lot of the time, because I am such an overthinker. I will reread text messages, I will replay conversations in my head, and that does give me clarity. But the closure of, well, why would you say this? Why would you think like that? Or why would you take me feeling this way, that way? I did not mean it. And even when I tried to explain and then look for another way to explain, you're still taking it the wrong way. So, a part of my healing when grieving is learning that not in every situation do you need closure. In some, you do. If say for instance, when you're letting go of a parent, I feel like there always should be some sort of conversation that you try and have. A relationship that has lasted, a good amount of time. Sometimes you need to know, like, what was it? What was, the breaking point between us? Why couldn't we resolve it? Things like that. But again, I could be wrong. This is just me going through my situation, and we're all grieving and healing in our different ways and on our different journeys. And if you have any insight on, ways that can help somebody else, because I'm not closed minded as I used to be. I used to be very one dimensional, like, this is the only way, blah 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 blah. And I feel like I was low key a shitty person, because that's a whole conversation for another time. But I felt like a shitty person before I became a lot more open to certain things. And now I'm learning to be more open minded. One of the things that I have been doing that my therapist suggested is, when I have certain moments where I want to say something, and I have a draft in my notes app with certain people's names, where if I think about, I'm going to send them a text, instead of actually doing it, I'll draft it and then I put it in my notes app. And you can literally see a chronological order of certain text messages that I may have wanted to send and didn't send. and it shows me where my mind was in that moment. Um, I don't journal like other people journal as well. I journal with the randomness that's in my brain, like the jumble of it all. Like if I'm whatever that feeling is in that moment, I am time stamping it in my journal and writing that moment, because sometimes you just need to clear your brain. And like I said, as an overthinker, as a empath, I have to do what I have to do to keep myself from letting the chatter in my brain take over. Um, Blocking has become one of those things I've suggested to people. If it's somebody that triggers you, get them out of there. And not that you wish them any ill will, things of that nature. It's just to protect your own energy. If you know somebody is going to have you feeling a certain way, you gotta be like, yeah, I can't do this. I need to let go in a certain way. That helps. I have friends that have suggested writing letters and burning them. I have friends that um, they write on dishes and then they break them as a way of cleansing it. It's okay in whatever form that you need to do it. Just get it out. You got to do whatever is therapeutic for you. And then there are times where you've let go of people and they want to come back, but they don't they don't want to repair as well. They just feel like time passed as an apology. And I used to be one of those people that would forgive people after a certain amount of time and be like, okay, and we would never discuss it. And then I realized that I would still be holding on to, we've never talked about what you did. And we're just picking up like nothing ever happened. And that didn't sit well with me. I felt like I was being punked to an extent. And I know I probably wasn't, because they're just thinking, oh, well, you didn't say anything, so you didn't want to talk about it. And it just kind of shifted my energy. It's like, for anybody that's watching Secure, when Molly and Issa were going through their rough patch and they were like bickering. It was horrible. They weren't talking to each other like they were friends, and they recognized that there was something there, but they couldn't pinpoint. And it finally came to a head. But then they realized, okay, we do love each other, we do need each other, and they had to talk. They had to let the shit hit the fan and have a conversation. That is real life. It's not just on a show, to give us entertainment only. That is real life, what people are going through. They're not talking about it. They're not resolving things, and unresolved issues contribute to people letting people go. So sometimes you got to talk to, get through the situation. I did an episode a while ago where I was talking about how sometimes I don't realize I'm wrong until I might be in the middle of an argument. And I won't even say argument. I'm in the middle of a conversation and I realize that I've misunderstood something that that person said to me. And then it's like, oh shit. I think I had the wrong impression of what you said. I did not process it the right way. And now I am holding on to something that should have been held on to the way that I held on to it too. And I am learning now that once I realize that I've done that, I want to go to that person and let them know, hey, I had a misunderstanding when I was processing what you said. I completely misunderstood it and I apologize. Because, and then it's like, I have to stop myself when I'm in the middle of having the hard conversations and say, is this what this person is trying to say to me? Did they mean it the way that they said it? And go from there. Because sometimes you and how you're receiving what you're being given. Um, it's okay to say, I release what no longer aligns with my values to protect my peace. Absence isn't a rejection, it's a redirection. My therapist tells me that all the time. And yes, it is hard to accept because you do feel rejected when someone doesn't want to do certain things. You feel very small about yourself when it's somebody that you actually cared about and you thought more of the situation. Um, and it's eye opening when you have to sit in those feelings. And but I do it. And with me, saying I'm no longer going to beg to be seen by someone that doesn't want to see me. I had a friendship that I didn't know was one sided, but I guess it was one sided, or I should say, I don't even know if it was one sided. It was just, it may have been a pity friendship as well. But I like this person, and I don't know. I can't even speak on. I don't want to be, one of those people that's negative, but I don't think that it was reciprocated the same way. At least I didn't receive it the same way. And it wasn't until, because I've become one of those people now where I actually speak up for myself. It's like, okay, if you did something, I'm going to let you know, hey, when you did X, Y, and Z, it bothered me. And if they brush me off, then it's like, okay, I see how you really feel about me. But if they actually want to talk about it and, things like that, then it's like, okay, we can mend what was there or clear up any type of confusion so you can move on. I'm not one of those friends that just because you hurt my feelings, we're not friends anymore. But if you decide that you don't want to be my friend and you don't speak up and then you just stop talking to me, you are letting me know that you are guilty by omission. So I was in one of those situations and it really hurt my feelings. And I became a little angry and bitter towards that person because it's like, dude, like, if I can't tell you how I feel, were we ever really friends? And then I had a friend that told me I did something to them. And I'm one of those people where it's just like, man, I am sorry. X, Y, and Z. And if you stop talking to me after that, it's just like, were you my friend? And some people are just not your friend. And that is okay. That is okay. Does it hurt? Of course it does. Does it fix anything that they didn't acknowledge it? Not one bit. Does life still move on? Of course, the earth is still going to continue to rotate. So, um, we're just going to, you know, go ahead and move on because healing is something else. Um, I'm never told anyone that you're crazy for caring too much because I am an empath. I overcare sometimes, like to a point where it can be overwhelming. My bestie literally just told me that. She was like, your emotions are a lot. And they are. They are. Because I care, I over explain, I can be a lot. And for somebody that doesn't care to understand that, then they won't get it. But I care at such a pace that sometimes I feel like I overcare, whereas that person may not care at the same wavelength that I do. And I do apologize, for that to those people because it's just like, sorry, I'm trying to contain it, which is why I do certain things that I do. But I am who I am, and I try to be a good person as best as I can. So, yeah. But just know if you are grieving someone that is still alive, you're not alone. if you are around people who have made decisions to let people go, stop trying to guilt them into relationships that they can no longer, handle, because the hurt is outweighed more by, the good, I guess you can say. And if you've hurt somebody and you feel like, you know what, maybe I should make amends because it wasn't what I thought it was, that's okay too. It's okay to go and apologize and try and work it out. People are people. We all need a support system. We all love people, care about people, and sometimes we were just wrong. We misunderstood, and it's okay to apologize and make amends, whether that person wants to have a relationship with you again or not. It's okay to apologize. Um, to an extent, every goodbye has saved us. And I know for myself that some of those goodbyes happen because I wasn't going to do it. Glad I'm wearing glasses because no one can see. I'm starting to tear up. I can definitely say that some of those goodbyes have saved us because we knew we were not going to walk away, and that person wasn't good for us. So there's that. Sometimes the silence is going to set you free, and being ghosted shows you more about yourself than you could ever imagine. um, but everything is a blessing in disguise, whether we want to accept it in that moment or not. You look back on it once you finally start to see certain things and you realize that it wasn't to hurt, it was to help. But I am going to go ahead and end on that note before I actually do start crying, because we all know I'm a crybaby. I thank you for joining me tonight. Again, featuring a rosé from France. Ooh, there it is, 12%, Total Wine and More. I think this selection was $13. Great price point, really good. And I will see you next week. Before you go, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share, all the things. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your week. We are halfway there, y'all.
Yes, you blessed. Like an aged bottle of wine, so fine. Not to mention it.